First, I want to thank the IDA for organizing this event, together also with Ready Space, who's helping to sponsor also lunch, I believe, right? And for your organization of this event too. My name again, Alex Danielak. I'm with a company called Parallels. We're one of the founding members of an initiative called the Application Packaging Standard. It's a separate organization, and I'm the Parallels representative into that organization. What I'm going to talk to you about is what is APS? You know, I'm going to start with how has the software world changed, and why do we need something like APS? What the opportunity is for you to also adopt this standard, and then how do you go about adopting it? I'm going to cover that in the hour. So, if we look at traditional IT systems, right? IT has evolved over many years with tens of thousands of ISVs developing solutions for physical distribution. And by physical, I even mean like downloads and license keys that you deploy on enterprise solutions. And there are thousands of ways that those solutions get distributed. They get distributed by software distributors, they get embedded inside hardware systems, but it's all sort of physical distribution. It's attached to something, it's downloaded to something, and so forth. That in turn has hundreds of thousands of resellers, VARs, system integrators, retail distribution chains take this software and distribute it, and we estimate there's about 148 million small businesses around the world, if we focus just on the small business piece, that manually license this. They get license keys and so forth. So that's sort of the way the software world has evolved over the past 20 years. If you think about the new SMB IT ecosystem, there's a dramatic change, and at each one of those stages, things have to change in order to distribute software. There are still tens of thousands of ISVs. We don't see that the number of ISVs is going to reduce. Perhaps it's even going to increase. But you have to develop your applications to be SaaS-enabled if you want to distribute them in the cloud world. Instead of distributors, you have service providers that are going to take your software and offer it still through resellers. We still think there are going to be resellers and VARs that take these cloud solutions and provide them potentially to customers, and still 148 million SMBs that are going to use this. So if you want to make this change, right, you have to spend effort in enabling your solution to work with a service provider. And every time you do that, very often these service providers, whether it's Ready Space or StarHub or someone, you have to comply with their service delivery mechanism for them to be able to provide these solutions, or perhaps for you to provide them as a SaaS solution directly yourself. That's going to take time. Every single time you work with the distribution mechanism. Then the resellers have to take all these disparate solutions, because it's, they're going to get maybe an ERP solution, a CRM solution, an email solution from these service providers, and they don't necessarily all fit together. And it ends in customer confusion because they just want to get this stuff as cloud services. And this is how the change is occurring slowly over time. What APS looks to do is to standardize the way you can deliver these solutions by creating a standard, creating some standard ways for an ISV to connect with service providers, and for service providers to build solutions from different pieces so that resellers can provide a unified solution to an SMB customer, so it all works together. That's what APS is about. That's why APS was created, to allow this integration to occur this way. So, in the end, and we'll talk throughout the day about really what is APS. There'll be a discussion later by a company called GlowTouch, who has built many APS packages for ISVs. And they'll go into the details of what APS really is from a technical perspective, and I'll cover that a little bit. But if you, in this new world with APS, if you follow the standard, an ISV can plug into and easily distribute their software to thousands of service providers that touch today tens of millions of customers. Okay? So how has APS evolved over the past 3 years since it started? It's been growing very, very quickly. Some of the largest companies that you may know of have adopted this for distributing their software. The whole Microsoft portfolio of things like Hosted Exchange, SharePoint, Office 365 is enabled with APS for distribution. Google Apps is enabled. Semantic Cloud antivirus solutions are enabled. VMware, Zimbra, different backup solutions are enabled. So the industry is starting to adopt this as the standard for distributing cloud services. And just in the first half of this year, the distribution of these services has grown 44%. So, just in 6 months it's grown 44%. That's not an annual number, that's a 6-month number. There are now over 400 applications in the catalog for service providers to deliver, and it's growing rapidly in terms of the number of applications joining each month. There we go. So let's talk about a little about what we see happening as trends in the marketplace and how APS allows for the distribution of these solutions to occur better. So SMBs now, if you look sort of the curve of adoption, according to SMB Trends or SMB Group in their SMB Trends research, one of the top 10 findings was that SMBs are now adopting cloud services in the early majority. Right? So that means that it's not the super techie SMBs, it's not the early adopters, it's not the innovators. Early majority is now adopting SMB cloud services. And so that means that over 34% are now adopting cloud services. The other thing that you can find in the study, Parallels actually conducts its own study of the market, and we've been in the business of enabling cloud services for a decade. But we found that 2 years ago, SMBs bought a little over one application on average. Maybe they bought email, or they bought a website. Now they're buying about 3 applications from the cloud on average. And 2 years from now, our research shows that they'll be buying 6 applications from the cloud. 6 different applications. The other thing that we find, if you look at AMI Partners research, increasingly these ISVs, these customers, these SMB customers that are purchasing cloud services, want to purchase these services so they work together and purchase them as bundles. Purchase the happy meal, right? They want a website with maybe search engine optimization and the ability to provide mobile websites all as one package. Right? So bundling is important, especially as SMBs are purchasing more and more applications. They have to work together. When you think about that value chain. Service providers also find it very important that they have a rich portfolio of applications. Just providing websites or just providing email is not enough. They need to provide higher value services because these basic services that have been around for a while in the cloud, like websites and emails, are very low margins. So they're looking for interesting new applications, and when they provide a bundle of applications, their profits increase. So there's this connection of SMBs buying more, wanting things to work together, and service providers wanting the bundles to provide more profit. So what is actually growing the fastest in in the SaaS marketplace, we find that the two fastest growing ones are line of business applications and communication and collaboration. Those are the two fastest growers. And this again is research that Parallels conducts. It's called Parallels SMB Cloud Insight Research. And these numbers are specifically for the APAC region. We just released this data last week. So it's brand new data that you can take a look at. And the research that we have goes into some of the underlying information as to what kinds of business applications are SMBs looking for. One of the things that we find is that the barrier for faster business application adoption is applications are just not available in the cloud yet. The SMBs are looking for these applications and they're just not available. They have to buy them on-prem for the specific line of business application. So you too can get this research. We released last week, the APAC research and specific information in China and India, and earlier this year, Australia and Japan. Just go to parallels.com/SMB report and download your copies for that. Now, we have research that spans the globe. We have about 13 countries that we've done, global, US, and the EMEA region, specific countries, etc. And it gives you some insights into what's happening in each local market and how it's different. I think it's important to understand that so you can see, where you target your application, where's the fastest growth for your application. Okay, so who's actually using the APS standard today to deliver these ISV cloud applications? We estimate there's about 9,000 service providers around the world that have APS-ready platforms to deliver cloud services. I mean, there are various levels of maturity in terms of the APS-enabled cloud services, but 13 of the top 30 telcos around the world have APS-enabled cloud services. So it's companies like Sprint, like CenturyLink, like Korea Telecom. America Mobile is a very large, it's the leading telco in Mexico, if you don't know them, Portugal Telecom, etc. Here locally, there are companies that have APS-ready platforms for you to attach your application to for distribution. Companies like ReadySpace, LuxCloud is a company that you'll hear from a little later. They play multiple hats. They're an ISV. They're also a hoster, and they're also a system integrator. So they do all three things here. But, and these companies today, around the globe, today touch about 10 million of those 148 million SMBs that I mentioned earlier. So there's a pretty good penetration already through these service providers. And again, there are about 400 ISVs in the industry. So what I'd like to do is pause for a second and let you hear from a short video from 4 companies. One is an industry analyst, IDC, global analyst, talking about how he sees the world of software distribution changing and why something like a standard is required. Strato is an infrastructure hoster in Europe using APS. Sucaro.net is a hoster in Japan that uses APS and why they use APS. And Structured Research is another analyst. They're a boutique analyst that has been focusing on the hosting market for this particular individual. Phil has been in the industry for about 10 years and has seen the industry evolve. So let's have a quick listen as to what that is changing in the industry.
Right. So it used to be applications providers were the guys who were smart, and they created the applications and they distributed them through through certain channels that they had operationalized over time. The way that businesses now are getting their IT capability, getting their applications, getting the software to ensure their service delivery is very, very different. Now, the key nexus points, the key control points for that distribution are platform providers and infrastructure providers. And as we move more and more from a distribution of CD products to be installed in the data center to products that can be bought and provisioned and deployed directly online from an infrastructure provider, that changes the whole game of how products get created and how they get to market. And so the consumption pattern changes very markedly.
So the ApS Standards means for us that we can roll out a very broad band of different applications. So we can cover a lot of needs of these small and medium enterprises and private customers that want to roll out these applications. An ISV should, in my opinion, package their applications in ApS Standard, because then they can reach a much more wider band of customers, and that's the way it works. So if you have a really good ecosystem of different applications, then you will get the critical mass, and with critical mass, then you get more success. That's the aim of the game.
So we use ApS packaging to package the most popular shopping carts and blog scripts by open source blogging systems in Japan. It allows our customers to install these packages with absolutely no technical knowledge at all, with the click of a button.
Well, I really think that the standard is a great opportunity for ISVs, simply because hosting companies who are serving small business customers, they have just an immense reach. We are literally talking about millions and millions of customers that would cost an ISV so much money to actually sell into themselves. You can package your application, your software to the standard. It's really just a ready-made channel, and it's about reaching customers quickly and generating profits very efficiently.
Okay. So let's talk about how you actually package your application in ApS. And I'm going to cover the very top part of this, just a little bit of it, and we'll have others that will come up and talk more about how do you get your solution into ApS. So first of all, what can ApS package, and what does that mean that you get packaged? The ApS standard, to take a little of the mystery out, is an XML framework, right, that lets you define how you install or interact through existing APIs for the deployment. Oops, this is going. I think this is on auto advance, which is not good. Okay, on how you do this, and we'll get into some more details. But as you heard Sukaru mention, you can take things that have to go into a web space and auto-install those without any interaction. It's full automation of, when the person purchases, decides to purchase, let's say, WordPress inside a web space, it will automatically install WordPress used by what you've defined in the ApS package. You can also interact with services that are hosted, that are multi-tenant hosted inside a data center. So let's say somebody like Strato, who was in the video, is hosting Exchange, a multi-tenant version of Exchange. ApS can allow for the addition of users, the deletion of users, the billing of those ApS accounts on Exchange, and so forth. It can also work with syndicated services, remote services like Google Apps. That's a cloud service. So you create an ApS package that sits between Google Apps and a service provider. Or legacy applications that may be traditional ones with a license key that want to go into a virtual container, and how do you automatically install that application in a virtual container, and maybe provide remote terminal services too. Okay? So when you get these applications packaged, what a service provider can do is they can take a couple of these applications like email with security and archiving and create, be able to take those solutions and build a complete package. So you can make those various offers, those various software solutions into a bundle. So a service provider can deliver it as one solution to a customer. So APS allows for that too. And so you have various kinds of offerings that are being developed by these companies. And it spans from companies that are providing infrastructure as a service, to line of business applications, to email, to different kinds of offerings. So it's quite flexible as to what you can provide. APS also even has within it the ability to say what the language is that you're supporting, or if you have multiple language support, what do you want to have displayed in each particular language. So the place to go to learn more about APS, I'm going to skip this because I think we'll have a better description by Low Touch when they come up. Let me make this one. So APS enables 4 things. How do you provision the account, the service, when someone purchases it? So it defines, how do you create an instance of that account? What are the billing attributes? What are the resources, and what are the billing attributes associated with those resources? How does that solution represent itself to the customer, so that the customer can self-manage adding users, deleting users, or things of that nature? And how does that application integrate with other applications? Where do you go to learn how to package your solution? You go to ApSStandard.org. It's a website dedicated for ISVs that want to learn how to package their solution. And on there, this is a screenshot of it. You'll have up on top, why do you package with APS? The support tab. You will have where all the documentation is. There's also an online forum for you to ask questions and get responses from the community. Okay? Now, while you can learn how to do it yourself, what we see most ISVs doing is working with one of the system integrators that has developed expertise in creating APS packages. So you have companies like Low Touch that will speak a little bit later and share their experience as to how to package, and also LuxCloud that is capable of doing APS packaging. And this is your fastest way to get packaged and delivered as an offering through service providers, because they've done dozens, if not 100 packages. Okay. So that's my quick overview of what is APS, why does APS exist, what some of the opportunity is for APS with various service providers, what is the reach out there. I'm with Parallels. We actually adopted APS and use it to help enable cloud services. But if you have any questions about any follow-up that you want to have about, so how do I get my package, APS package, feel free to send an email to apsonboard@parallels.com, and we'd be happy to help you answer those questions and direct you to the standard organization also. Thank you for your time.